Hello and welcome. I'd like to say thanks for joining us today for a XenTegra webinar. My name's Phil Sellers. I am the practice director for Modern Data Center, and I want to thank you for spending some time with us. Excited to be talking about enterprise AI. Artificial intelligence is kind of there on the tip of the tongue for every business leader we're talking with. And so we're excited to kind of delve in, talk about what some of our partners are doing, ways to approach artificial intelligence, and how to keep your crown jewels safe, how to keep that data that's so important to you from escaping and being used by your competitors. At the end of the day, security is top of mind as we talk about artificial intelligence. And so, what we've got today our solutions from Nutanix called Enterprise AI, Nutanix Enterprise AI, and GPT-in-a-Box. Both of these solutions are really meant and kind of key for helping you to handle your data on-prem while also gaining leverage of large language models and chat GPT's types of AI against that data. So um, with that introduction, I'm going to delve right in. You're going to meet your panelists. We're going to talk a little bit about who we are here at XenTegra, and then we'll delve into enterprise AI as it's productized from Nutanix. Last of which, we've got an offer for you where you can test drive GPT in a box and see what it's like, how it works, and how you may be able to leverage it in your enterprise. And last of all, we'll take some time for questions. So, who's talking at you? I'm Phil Sellers. Uh, Happy to be with you. I've spent my life in technology. I've said before, if I weren't doing this, I'm afraid I would be a bum because it's really the only thing I know how to do. And so I've had over 25 years in technology, and that makes me an old graybeard these days. But I'm based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Been here for the last 8 years. And most of my career I've actually been on the customer side. I joined XenTegra about 3 years ago, and I currently lead our strategy for modern data center. So, who is XenTegra? XenTegra was born out of the need for real customer enablement and true partnership. We started in 2012, specifically focused on helping businesses with their Citrix environments. Since then, we've grown to be an international company with expertise across your entire technology stack. We're headquartered out of Charlotte, North Carolina, but our offices, we also have offices in Canada and India. And we've got client executives all across the nation. We like to say we're a global company with a next door feel. We're on a mission to engage, listen, and deliver the appropriate enterprise technologies to clients of all sizes because we believe that every single organization, regardless of your size, deserves access to enterprise level technology. And while we're doing that, we're striving to be VAR 2.0, breaking the mold of traditional transactional VARs by focusing on more on your success and being a real partner, driving true value in our relationship. We do this by building community in our industry with fun and educational events. If you look on our website, there's several going on every single week. We also do it through hosting podcasts with industry experts, giving you access to the latest insights and opportunities to stay up on the latest developments from all of our partners. We also do this by providing you industry access to the big conferences at 90% off. So if you're out looking at technologies, talk to us. We've got lots of different industry conferences where we'll be at, and we want to give you access to be there as well. We also do this by providing complimentary micro assessments. So we don't focus on everything, but our key technologies we go deep in. And so a micro assessment is a free half day engagement. So you can get to know our teams and you also get something valuable in return at no cost. We're trying to be your choice to be a one-stop shop. We've got you covered for all your IT needs. Uh, if you need it, we can help. It's kind of funny giving my own quote here, but I like to say we're a little bit like Ace Hardware. Um, we got a little more curated stuff on the shelf, and hopefully, we're a little more knowledgeable than your typical big box store. We're organized across multiple business units. Although we started in Citrix, we now have your back in multiple different places, from managed services that we like to call co-managed services, modern applications, networking security, workspaces, and we've got a division specifically for small and medium businesses. And of course, right there in the middle, I lead Modern Data Center, where we focus on a very cloud native, compatible view of the world where we think the industry is going around data center. We know that you're getting the job done not only with what's in your data center in a colo, but also with cloud providers like AWS and Azure. And when it comes to managed services, we offer a wide range of support, managed and hybrid services so that you never have to do it alone. And I say we like to call these co-managed services because we're not about replacing your department. You're going to know your company a lot better than we ever will. And so we want to come alongside and help you to succeed. Our chief architect on the managed services side says, would you rather a brand new pilot fly your plane or have a pilot who's flown 1,000 times before? That's the expertise that we bring to the ground. Our team has done this, and we have a track record of being able to do it successfully. At the end of it all, our blueprint's pretty simple. We keep workspaces in mind and designed with best vendor recommendations, our top consultants, and tons of real world experiences. And we bring that to our workspaces practice and across the board, across all of our technologies. And while we're at it, we want to do a little bit of good. And so we have XenTegra Cares as an initiative to give back. And so you will see that logo and representation at the events that we're doing all around the country, helping to power nonprofits and also partnering with them so that they get access to the best enterprise technologies. We're known for working well with others, and we've got a number of key partnerships across different technologies that we use in-house, making us different than our competitors and that we truly believe in. So if you're looking for competitive pricing, we can help you there with all of these different vendors. Our awards speak for themselves. We know our model works. Some hard work and partnership with our client and partners, and that's what we're looking to do. That's the XenTegra difference. So today's topic, we're going to talk about enterprise AI. And listen, I'm going to be the first to tell you this is brand new stuff. No one's got all the answers, and this is a environment that's changing on a daily basis. It's rapid, it's iterating. We're seeing a huge amount of growth and opportunity in this space. So let's dig in a little bit. And what I'd like to do is just start off with a AI 101. What is artificial intelligence? Well, the definition in the the definition in the dictionary is really around helping computers to self-manage and make decisions within themselves to move computing forward. And so there's four different types of artificial intelligence that we talk about. And the first is machine learning. This is algorithms that really allow the systems to learn from data without explicit programming. So this is a little different than what we've had in the past, where you could create a program that had its own um, it had its own sort of reasoning or if-then type model. Machine learning is more about um, how to do that without having to explicitly create an if-then sort of scenario. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning where the artificial neural networks process data. And so this is a bigger sort of subset of machine learning where we go much deeper. We create models that become used in a number of different applications. We'll dig in more on deep learning because that's really where a lot of people are talking. We'll go into a specific example. Natural language processing has been around for a while. This is all of the voice type interpretation. So we've had things like automatic I'm trying to think of the name of it, but the voice recognition, your voice systems when you call in to a call center or when you're talking to any vendor that you call into these days, you can speak your command or you can speak your request, and so that becomes processed, and then you're able to move forward. And then lastly, we've got computer vision. This allows computers to see and interpret images. And so there's lots of application for computer vision where it's recognition of objects, where it may be classification based on images. It may also be live video, looking for threats, looking for things that are anomalistic, uh, you know, speeding cameras, computer vision with um, license plate recognition at the car wash or on the interstate as you're going through a toll lane. All of these are examples of computer vision that become part of the artificial intelligence community. But I said we wanted to talk a little bit about deep learning, and so let's dig in there with a specific example that everyone's talking about. ChatGPT kind of revolutionized this area of deep learning by creating a whole new type of AI called generative AI. Generative AI relies heavily on deep learning models, but then it's also got elements of that natural language processing where it can take and handle complex large data sets and then create new generated content from that, whether that's text, images, audio, or video. Generative AI is all about generating that type of content. And so ChatGPT became a really great example of how you could sit down at a prompt, issue something, and then generate something wholly new on the back end based on a library of information. In the beginning, ChatGPT just had a couple of years worth of internet sites that it had crawled for information. And then over time, they've continued to teach it by developing that large language model behind ChatGPT to be able to do more things. There's all sorts of subtopics within this, but it's safe to say generative AI is on the top of every executive's wish list. And so to kind of quantify that, what we're seeing is a market size today of about $25 billion going towards Gen AI. We expect that, according to statistics from Statista, excuse me, this is going to grow by 7x by 2030. So just 5 years from now, 7x growth in the generative AI space. That's a huge amount of exploding growth. And then 51% of execs say that Gen AI is a top priority, one of their top three priorities in the next 2 years. Just 12% said that last year. And so that's how it's changed. Getting access to this data, pulling insights out of it, being able to enable your workforce faster, all of those are great examples of how generative AI can boost productivity in your organization. So, simple things, enabling a sales force to ask questions against your CRM data. When did I last interact with so and so? Who are my top 5 accounts assigned to me who I should be talking to because I haven't talked to them? Any sort of natural language question that can help you. Now, when it comes to knowledge augmentation, ChatGPT is great for this. So you can go through and say, give me an example of step by step what I should do to complete X task. And so all of those turn around and save you time from research and from doing the work yourself because the model is able to give back those results in real time. We've seen a lot of our partner companies start to package this in a way that it helps their sales teams, it helps their employees. Even Microsoft is in this space with a product called Copilot, trying to tap into all of your Microsoft data hosted in their cloud and being able to surface that with the security controls around what you have access to. So, ChatGPT started a revolution, but it's by no means the only way to get access or get into generative AI. Now, what would it mean to do generative AI on your own? Well, Gen AI doesn't stand alone. It's not just one piece of software. Gen AI is software that often runs in containers almost exclusively. This is one of the first true cloud native workloads. And so, because it runs in containers, um, that's going to force some changes into the way that you do things in your enterprise to gain access to Gen AI if you want to run it either in a cloud or on prem. You're also going to need access to GPUs. All this intense number crunching and calculations are run on a graphics processing unit. That's been one of the primary drivers for both companies like NVIDIA and OpenAI is the GPU revolution. It's driving huge demands on manufacturing of GPUs. There's a scarcity of those GPUs, and it's driving prices higher and higher to get access to those units. Enterprise Kubernetes is often needed as well. It's not absolute requirement, but I can tell you Kubernetes in Kubernetes ecosystem is something that you're going to want to also look into, whether you're running it on Azure, AWS, or in your own data center. Kubernetes is going to make your life easier. As I said, Gen AI software runs in containers. And so Kubernetes is orchestration for those containers at scale. You're also going to need high performing storage. A lot of this data has to be accessed, it has to be run through learning models. Those learning models make it possible for it to be intelligent, but you have to go through the training. High performance storage is going to give you that access. The models themselves, pre trained or custom, you're going to have a place to host those. And lastly, you've got hardware lifecycle management. Just like any other IT project, you're going to need to be able to keep everything running and up to date in order to be able to uh, meet the security demands and also keep the software patched. And lastly, you can't underestimate that you need the people. You need to be able to operate, manage, scale, and maintain all of that infrastructure for AI. The people problem is tough because this is a brand new area. This is a brand new thing to be undertaken. You're not going to be able to walk to the street and find someone who's an AI admin. You're going to have to more than likely develop these out of your infrastructure teams. And so let's talk about a pathway for that. What does an AI application look like? So we've talked about the large language models and what you need to make it, well, that's here in the middle with the platform services, your Kubernetes cluster, your large language model, inferencing servers, and then model access control, security for your AI. But you also need the hardware layer below it. And as we said, GPUs are critical to that, but you also need compute and storage. And then you've got your application developers. You need to be able to do user access control for these AI applications. You need to be able to lock down who can get to what data. And your application developers talk a completely different language than your infrastructure folks. Infrastructure folks generally aren't used to APIs and API calls and scripting languages and Git repos, where your application developers, that's their world, that's where they live. And so there's a little bit of a gap between your traditional hardware teams and the application developer, and that's leading to new teams like platform engineering teams, somewhere that lives in between that understands both the hardware and the software side of things and brings things together. And for a lot of infrastructure teams, They would like an interface that just kind of gives them access to what they need to host things with monitoring and controls built in. We'll talk about a solution for that. Kubernetes is a huge part of the Gen AI journey. Kubernetes, as I said, is a lifecycle engine. It is a workflow engine. And so it handles all of those containers at scale. And so AI and ML apps run in those containers. All the workflows for handoffs and the way that they communicate with one another can be handled through Kubernetes without having to manually do these on every single instance that you deploy. There's also modularity. Because Kubernetes is a orchestration engine, you're able to do this in code, you're able to do it consistently at scale, and everything runs as these modular microservices that gives you freedom of choice. As long as the API stays the same, you're free to completely refactor any one of these microservices to work differently. And so you're able to iterate your software faster and make your overall application performance better by changing out small pieces all over the place. Uh, Kubernetes gives you that ability to orchestrate all of those different microservices. And lastly, there's an operational element. You can avoid endless environment tracking where you've got incompatibilities and things because Kubernetes is doing the orchestration for you. You've defined it in a set of configuration files. Kubernetes is out keeping it in that desired state. And so it's less operational overhead for your infrastructure teams to keep these applications running. It's fundamentally different than the way we've run applications in virtual machines, but this is something that's critical to success when you're talking about AI. So, as I said, administrators are looking for something simpler, something to help them succeed with all of these factors that we've just covered. Kubernetes, all of the underlying hardware, how do you secure it? How do you give access to developers in their language, APIs? How do you interact with these groups that you maybe don't understand? Well, say hello to Nutanix Enterprise AI. Nutanix is known as the hyperconverged company, right? But this is an interesting product because this is something that's fundamentally different from Nutanix. Let's start with some of the customer challenges. So I don't know where to begin. Well, that's because AI, Gen AI, is bleeding edge. Skill sets are still catching up. It's hard to hire for. So you're probably going to need something that brings the barrier to entry down, helps you make it simpler to approach. Safety is mandatory. My IP, my intellectual property, and data privacy are paramount concerns. I may not want to run my AI in public cloud like AWS or Azure. Customers have higher trust of their on-prem security. They have more control on-prem. And then I want a total solution. I need help to get to a successful solution. So customers are looking for turnkey solutions. IT and app owners have completely different needs. So where does enterprise AI from Nutanix come in? Well, it makes any IT admin an AI admin because there's easy access to deploy large language models and control API workflows to those large language models that are then tied to the underlying hardware. You've got simple metrics and dashboards in Nutanix Enterprise AI. You can test and deliver enterprise grade APIs through the interfaces. Speaking of the interface, it is a simple one. It's very easy to see what's going on. You have built-in role-based access controls, and so your security is top of mind. You can provide different API endpoints to Gen AI in just minutes. You've also got a lot of choice. One of the things we've always said about Nutanix when it comes to their cloud infrastructure solution is that you have lots of choice. With Nutanix Enterprise AI, you also have lots of choice. They've paired up with Hugging Face and NVIDIA NIM, two of the industry's leading providers of large language models. They've validated tons of large language models that work out of the box, and they've made it possible to upload private models. So not only can you point and click and consume Hugging Face or NVIDIA models, you can also put your own inside. It deploys on any Kubernetes. So any CNCF, and that stands for the Cloud Native. Um, Actually, I'll have to come back to CNCF, but it's standardized Kubernetes, right? This is out of the box. CNCF compliant Kubernetes allows you the freedom of choice. So it's not just a Nutanix flavor. You can deploy this on AKS in Azure. You can deploy it on um, the AWS Kubernetes solution. Anywhere that you want to go, any Kubernetes, this will run on top of. So this is a product that runs in private cloud. You can use bare metal servers for dark sites. You can run it on Linux. As long as you've got a Kubernetes substrate, this does not require any other Nutanix product in order to be successful. This is just for AI. And so you're able to tap into this and really make an impact for your organization. And then lastly, we talked about how fast this is changing. The world is changing fast when it comes to generative AI. And so you're able to update your large language models, your APIs as often as you need to. And you're able to stay on top of any security vulnerabilities, any sorts of new development. Um, and so this helps you as an IT administrator to meet your application developers where they need to be. CNCF, I'm going to go back to that. Cloud Native Computing Foundation runs the standards for Kubernetes. And again, we've said Kubernetes is a orchestration layer. There's lots of plugins and pieces that go into Kubernetes. And so CNCF compliant Kubernetes is just saying that this meets our open standards. And so it gives you the greatest amount of choice. So when we talk about Nutanix Enterprise AI, there's a couple of different ways that you can procure this, that you can buy it and make use of it. As I said, you can run it on any Kubernetes, including public cloud. So the first way that you can get this is a complete stack from Nutanix. So in this model, you've got Nutanix Cloud Infrastructure, you've got Nutanix Kubernetes Platform, of course, Nutanix Enterprise AI, and Nutanix Unified Storage, which is files and objects. This becomes an easy button for you, right? This is a completely opinionated stack, but it's also the fastest time to value. So for an organization looking to do their own in-house AI, you're able to procure something that stands up quickly and ensures success. This is all vertically tested. It's in its second major release. And so you've got a very quick time to value for your enterprise AI strategy, your Gen AI strategy. For companies that already have maybe their own Kubernetes or that choose to do a different Kubernetes, you're also able to do the CNCF route. So enterprise AI, as we said, works on any Kubernetes that is certified. And so you can plug it in on any infrastructure in your data center. And although we're looking at Nutanix Cloud Infrastructure, there's nothing that means you couldn't run this on VMware as well. So as long as you've got a Kubernetes to deploy into and GPU hardware in the background, you're able to do this on a CNCF basis. And lastly, you can do it on public cloud. As we said, Amazon EKS, Azure AKS, GKE, you've got your choice of clouds where you can also run this. And so this gives you a consistent way of doing enterprise Gen AI at any location you need to. So that's also another benefit of choice for you. This isn't brand new. This has been in development for a while. It's packaged in GPT-in-a-Box 2.0. And so we've got a lot of iterative development that's happened here. How does it actually work, though? Let's dig in a little bit. Well, First things first, you deploy and run Nutanix Enterprise AI on Kubernetes. So we've got some distributions here. Red Hat OpenShift is supported, Rancher, um, along with all of the native public cloud. You log into that interface, you pick and pull down and deploy a large language model. Once you've got the large language model there, you create a secure API. Then you can test the model and model access. Lastly, you send the API credentials to your developer or application owner, and now you've made a new friend because now you're talking their language. You've given them an API, documented. They're able to then start developing their application against this API. Now, all at the same time, you're able to monitor and audit use of the LLMs, how much use is on the GPUs, who's using which API endpoints, what sorts of calls are happening, how close am I to capacity. And so all of that great monitoring becomes easily understood by you. You can see infrastructure health, you can see utilizations, and so it's in a great dashboard format with the ability to roll back. So you're able to get time controls just like you would expect from a monitoring perspective. You can see all the requests and trends when throughout the day are you more busy or less busy. Um, and so you're able to start getting insights. So it's not just providing you access and control for AI in your data center, it's also giving you all of these insights. As we said, you can choose from validated large language models from Hugging Face and NVIDIA. You're able to point and click and import those. Um, it's a great way to streamline and workflow. It's very wizard based. So it's approachable for your existing IT administrators without them having to go out and get a complete new skill set at the command line. Your role-based access controls allow you to create API keys, secure those, make certain permissions, limits, quotas, all of those kinds of things associated with that API key. And then you're able to actually use the interface here to test the API endpoint. So before giving it to a developer, you can actually run your own requests using Enterprise AI's UI and just validate. This is running against the GPU. This is giving me back information. So you're able to validate that before you ever give out access to the developer. So you're going to cut out all of those crazy questions going, yeah, this doesn't work. Yeah, this doesn't work. You've got a built-in troubleshooting tool. Going just a bit deeper, as we said, you're making all IT admins and AI admin. You're able to test and deliver enterprise grade APIs. You've got your endpoints in minutes. You're able to deploy to any cloud, any Kubernetes, so Red Hat OpenShift, Rancher, any CNCF certified Kubernetes deployment, and you're able to iterate on this quickly. So let's go back to our anatomy of an AI application. So as we look at Nutanix Enterprise AI, where does it fit here within this slide? Well, on the hardware, we can say any infrastructure as long as you've got GPUs enabled. Then in the platform services, you're going to need a Kubernetes and then slot in Nutanix Enterprise AI and then adopt any of your large language models. And then, as I said, you become your application developer's best friend. But where are they developing applications? What does this look like? And where does Enterprise AI fit into that? Enterprise AI is that gateway. It's helping you bridge the hardware and software to the developer for the AI. And so your developers are probably going to create applications that meet your users where they're at. And so that means places like Slack and Teams become where your developers are creating applications. And so you've got the enterprise data, You've got the large language models all regulated by your infrastructure or your platform teams in Nutanix Enterprise AI. And now your application developers are just accessing and using those, but then they're surfacing it through tools like Slack and Teams. Because of that, your users aren't having to go and learn something new. They're in tools that they already know. But in addition to that, your application developers may create custom mobile apps. And so those custom mobile apps may be used to augment chats or pull customer information and provide answers in real time through interfaces to your end users. It may also be web applications. So any of those now have a way to communicate back to your enterprise AI through a simple API call, and they're able to be successful. So again, what enterprise AI is at the end of the day, Nutanix Enterprise AI is really a bridge. That bridge last mile between your infrastructure teams, making it simple to adopt and deploy large language models, regulate and govern those, and then bridge those out to your developer community. And that's really the win at the end of the day. You're able to deliver all of the controls and important IT concepts that we have been tasked as infrastructure professionals. We've been tasked to keep things secure. We've been tasked with bridging this gap between the hardware and the developer. And so this is a bridge tool that helps you succeed in that at the end of the day. So how do you get access to this? Well, Nutanix makes it easy. There's a convenient site called Test Drive. And so there's a QR code here on the screen. There's a test drive for GPT-in-a-Box. This is going to give you experience running applications on a GPT-in-a-Box instance on the Nutanix Cloud Platform. So this is the easiest way to get some actual hands-on time. You can find the test drive at nutanix.com/one-platform, or just scan this QR code. That's going to give you access to a full lab environment, and it's going to walk you through step by step so that you can see and interact with this great technology. Again, at the heart of this is Nutanix Enterprise AI. GPT-in-a-Box is a package and a way that you can consume this technology in a complete package for fastest value. And with that, that brings us to the end of our presentation. So I want to say thank you for tuning in and listening. I encourage you to take a look at Test Drive. And now I'm going to open it up for questions. Anybody have questions? I'd love to answer those. So um, is there a licensing cost to Chat GPT in a box? The answer is yes. So it is a specialized sort of package. And so we do have a licensing mechanism. It's very similar to what you get with Nutanix Cloud Infrastructure um, with the add-ons of the enterprise, Nutanix Enterprise AI. Great question. Other questions? If not, or if you've got follow-up questions after today's webinar, I've got my contact information here on the slide as well. You can email me at philip1l.sellers@xentegra.com. I'm also on Twitter or X at infraphilip1l, or you can catch me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/n/psellers. Reach out. I'd love to connect, and I'd love to help your company chart a path to generative AI in your own data center. We've talked with some really interesting customers. Um, my coworker Fred Reynolds, who runs our AI strategy, has been talking to customers and coming up with use cases in their enterprise. And so getting started sometimes is just as easy as coming up with some ideas. We have folks that we can connect you with who can help you come up with ideas specific to your business and your business sector. We can also definitely set up a demo of GPT in a box seeing how your app developers may be able to leverage that and come up with some quick wins for your organization. If there's no more questions, I'll go ahead and close out today's webinar, but I want to say thanks for attending, thanks for listening, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks for coming.